Welcome to Janus Corporation's Why Lead Paint Disturbance and Removal Must Be Conducted Safely. The idea is to protect yourself and your family back home. Do that, and you will already be in compliance with most regulations. This training is in response to issues brought to Janus's attention by a client. Janus feels the training is a good reminder of why we do things safely and is putting it out to all field personnel. Lead-safe work practices are required by which of the following regulations? Cal/OSHA, California Department of Public Health, the federal EPA's RRP rule, HUD, all of the above, or none of the above? The answer here is all of the above. Janus's worker protection policy. Federal EPA, California Department of Public Health, and other regulatory agencies have newer regulations, but basically leave health and safety to Cal/OSHA. Cal/OSHA regulatory requirements for lead have not been updated since 1979. It is up to Janus as an employer to have a policy that requires workers to keep themselves safe and healthy regardless of what the regulations say. It is up to each and every individual worker to conduct their work in a fashion that is not just legal, but more importantly, safe. Truth is, if a worker simply conducts lead-related construction activities in a fashion that protects themselves and their family back home, they will already be protecting themselves better than any applicable regulation requires. Before we talk about issues that occur on projects, let's talk about the health hazards presented by lead. Why is lead a health risk? Lead's a poison. Lead is not one of the minerals our body needs to survive. Calcium, iron, zinc are all metals our body needs, but not lead. The most common way for adults to cause lead poisoning to a child is to take home lead on their clothes. True or false? This is actually true. Which of the following is a potential health effect from exposure to lead for a child? Irritable behavior, learning and reading problems, memory problems, aggressive behavior, reduced brain development, stunted growth, ADD and ADHD. All the above and more are health effects for children. All the above and more are health effects that lead can cause in children. Children can be harmed from much lower levels of lead than adults. This is true. Far less lead harms a child than what it would take to harm you or I. Disposable coveralls are not 100% protective of your street clothes. Torn coveralls allow clothes underneath to become contaminated, which can lead to lead being taken home on workers' clothes. That's a hazard to the family. Even undamaged disposable coveralls do not stop 100% of the lead and the dust you are exposed to during projects that disturb lead paints, lead coatings, leaded materials, or leaded soils. Though Tyvek suits are best, even they do not prevent all dust, lead or otherwise, from penetrating the suit and getting onto your skin and or clothes underneath. For the suits to protect you as well as possible, they must be worn properly and cannot be torn or worn unzipped. Torn or damaged suits must be replaced or repaired. You can repair them with duct tape as soon as it is noticed they are damaged. Remember, the suit must be worn properly to provide the best protection possible. If suits do not stop all the lead dust, how do we avoid taking lead home to our families? You must decontaminate properly when leaving a lead work area. But there are things you can do before entering the containment and while you are conducting your project tasks that can help. Before entering containment, if a project requires showers, all street clothes except underwear or a bathing suit must be removed. On projects where showers are not required, remove as much of your street clothes as possible before putting on your protective coveralls. When conducting activities that disturb lead, keep dust levels as low as possible. The less lead in the air, the less it is the chance to penetrate or find a way around the disposable coveralls. If your suit tears or the zipper breaks, replace or repair the suit as soon as you notice the damage. Decontaminating for a lead project. When a worker leaves a lead containment, they should decontaminate in the following ways. Remove disposable coveralls in a fashion that does not put dust into the air. Roll the suit off, not just pull it off or push it down. Heat vacuum any clothing worn beneath the disposable coveralls. Wash hair and any exposed skin, hands, arms, face, body, etc., with soapy water. The soap makes the lead slippery and allows the water to rinse the lead off while rinsing soap out of your hair or off your skin. A shower is always best, but not always available. The respirator should be the first piece of PPE put on when dressing in PPE and the last thing off when a worker leaves containment. By doing this, the worker assures the straps of the respirator are under the hood of the protective coveralls, can conduct a positive and negative pressure check with bare hands rather than gloved hands, assures safety glasses templates do not interfere with the respirator straps, and assures that the worker is protected from lead put into the air when they take disposable coveralls off. Except in some emergencies, respirators should never be removed while inside containment. When a respirator is removed inside containment, air inside the respirator, when placed back on the face, will contain that hazardous atmosphere, at least for a while. Few, if any, workers bother to conduct the all-important positive and negative pressure check after redonning a respirator removed inside containment. no matter why it was removed. Quick conversation, wipe a sweaty face, etc. Janus requires workers to wear respirators even when the PEL for lead is not exceeded. This is to protect the worker's health. This approach of protecting the worker's health above and beyond what is required by regulation is defeated when respirators are removed while inside containment. No drinking water inside containment. OSHA regulations prohibit certain activities inside regulated areas. Regulated areas are any area inside the warning sign for work area. This can be for asbestos, lead, mold, or other hazardous atmospheres. Activities prohibited from occurring inside a regulated area include eating, drinking, smoking, chewing gum or tobacco, wearing contact lenses, or applying cosmetics. Though Janus policy is to wear a respirator when exposures are below the Cal OSHA permissible exposure limit, 50 micrograms per cubic meter of air, proper air sampling that shows exposures below the PEL avoids the regulatory requirement for showers and respirators. Proper air sampling shows that respirators in use are providing adequate protection according to the current regulatory requirements of the workers or indicates a need to increase respiratory protection. Proper air sampling on lead projects that indicate exposures are below the Cal OSHA action level, 30 micrograms per cubic meter of air, eliminate the need for Cal OSHA action level training, additional air sampling, and additional blood lead monitoring. If air samples come back high, even if not above the action level or the PEL, it indicates that the crew needs to change their work practices to best protect themselves and their family at home. The current believed safe level of exposure to lead is 0.5 micrograms per cubic meter of air. We do not want to be anywhere near the action level, 30, or the permissible exposure level of 50. What are some engineering controls to reduce dust? Use a HEPA filtered vacuum. HEPA vacuum must be at the same spot as the lead disturbance to be effective. Use water, a wet sponge, or similar material to capture dust when drilling, cutting, or scraping materials. Remember, our workers are our most important asset. It is up to Janus as an employer to have a policy that requires workers to keep themselves safe and healthy. It is up to each and every individual worker to conduct their work in a fashion that is not just legal, but also safe for themselves and their family back home. Remember, if a worker simply conducts lead-related construction activities in a fashion that protects themselves and their family back home, they will already be protecting themselves better than any applicable regulation requires. Thank you for taking Janus's IIPP training on lead safety. Please proceed to the quiz.